5 years ago, I was the heiress of one of the wealthiest families in London. Today, I'm scrubbing toilets in a mansion that isn't mine. Life has a cruel sense of humor. Clara Winters tightened her scarf as the cold wind blew against her face. The once silky designer coat she wore was now faded and fraying at the edges. Her suitcase had a broken wheel. Her pride had even less left. She stood in front of a tall iron gate guarding an estate that looked like something out of a fairy tale. Or a nightmare. A silver plaque read, Blackwood Manor. Her stomach dropped. The name triggered something deep and buried. Blackwood, she whispered. But she shook it off. She needed this job. Badly. She couldn't afford to be picky anymore. Inside, the head housekeeper looked Clara up and down. "You've cleaned before?" the woman asked. Clara nodded. "Yes, ma'am. I'm a fast learner." The woman frowned but handed her a schedule. "We don't usually take in live-in staff anymore. But the boss requested more hands. He works odd hours. Keep your head down. Do your job. Don't ask questions." Clara nodded, biting her lip. She'd heard that line before. Her room was small, tucked in the corner of the east wing. No windows. Just 4 walls, 1 bed and silence. But it was warm and safe. And that was more than she'd had in months. She unpacked slowly, her hands trembling. A photo slipped from her journal, a picture of a younger version of herself, and him. She shoved it back inside and shut the drawer. Later that evening, Clara was assigned to clean the main study. It was lavish. Dark oak shelves, leather chairs, marble floors. She ran her fingers over the desk. Then the door opened. She froze. Footsteps echoed on the polished floor. And then his voice. "I asked not to be disturbed." Clara turned slowly. Her breath caught in her throat. It was him. Ethan Blackwood. Taller than she remembered. Sharper. Colder. His gaze barely lingered on her before he turned away, flipping through papers. "If you're new, don't touch anything on the desk. Just dust and go." She couldn't speak. She couldn't breathe. He didn't recognize her. The man who shattered her heart didn't even know who she was. "He ruined my life once. Now I work under his roof. But what he doesn't know is that I came back for answers. And maybe revenge." Clara tried to keep her head down as she dusted the tall bookshelf, but her hands shook. She could still hear his voice in her head. Ethan Blackwood. The man who had once whispered promises of forever to her. Now couldn't even recognize her face. He had changed. More power in his voice. More distance in his eyes. But then again so had she. Later that night, in the privacy of her tiny room, Clara sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the photo again. It was faded now, but the image was burned into her memory. She was 19, laughing, barefoot in a summer dress. And beside her, holding her hand like it was the most precious thing in the world, was Ethan. Back then he was different, kind, ambitious, gentle. She thought he had loved her. She was wrong. 5 years ago, they met at a charity gala hosted by her father's company. Ethan had been a rising young entrepreneur, charming everyone in the room, including her. Clara remembered sneaking out of the ballroom with him, running barefoot through the gardens, sharing secrets under the moonlight. He had kissed her like she was the only girl in the world. He had told her he wanted to build a life with her. But then, her father's company collapsed. Candles. Public shame. Her family name was destroyed overnight. And Ethan. He disappeared. Just like that. No call. No message. No explanation. And Clara had lost everything. Now here she was, years later, scrubbing floors in the mansion of the man who vanished when she needed him most. The next morning, she was wiping down the hallway outside the study when she heard voices. Ethan's voice. And another man's. "I'm telling you, Ethan, you can't keep living in the past. Let her go. She's not coming back." "I'm not looking for her," Ethan replied, his tone tight. I never got answers. That's all." There was a pause. "She meant something to you, didn't she?" Another silence. She was everything, Ethan said quietly. Clara's heart twisted. She leaned back against the wall, out of sight, her chest rising and falling with painful breaths. So he did care. But if he loved her, why did he abandon her when her world collapsed? That afternoon, Ethan passed Clara in the hallway. He glanced at her, this time holding her gaze a little longer. "You're new, right?" Clara nodded, her voice small. "Yes, sir." He studied her face, almost like something tugged at his memory. But then he blinked and looked away. "Be careful with the east wing. The floorboards are old." "Yes, sir." He walked off, leaving Clara frozen in place. He didn't recognize her, but she recognized every crack in his voice. That night, Clara lay in bed, eyes wide open. "You said I was everything. Then why did you leave me when I had nothing?" She had come here looking for work. But now, a storm was waking inside her. She didn't know what hurt more, that he was lying, or that he might still be telling the truth. Clara had told herself she could do this. Keep her head down, stay invisible, make enough money to survive. But every time she saw him, her heart betrayed her. She wasn't invisible. Not to herself. Not to the ghosts in this mansion. And definitely not to Ethan Blackwood. The third day passed quietly, until the late evening when Clara was called into the study. The housekeeper had been firm. "Mr. Blackwood wants help sorting some old files. You'll assist him directly." Clara's stomach turned. The last place she wanted to be was alone with him. But she had no choice. She stepped into the study, the air thick with silence. Ethan sat at the desk, his sleeves rolled up, a glass of something expensive in his hand. He didn't look up. "Close the door," he said softly. Clara obeyed. He handed her a stack of folders. Old contracts. Sort by date. She sat at the edge of the table, her hands brushing against faded documents, old signatures. His scent, familiar and dangerous, lingered in the air. Then he broke the silence. "Have you ever made a mistake so big it cost you the only thing you ever truly wanted?" Clara didn't look at him. "Yes." He paused, as if surprised by her answer. "So you know what it's like," he said, his voice quieter now. "To carry regret every single day." Clara's throat tightened. He sipped his drink and stared into the fireplace. "There was someone once," he continued. "Someone I loved. I should have fought for her. But I didn't. I let pride and ambition get in the way." Clara kept her eyes on the papers. Her heart was thudding in her chest. She disappeared after her family's scandal. People said she ran, that she was ashamed. But I know her better than that. He looked at Clara now, but not with recognition, just pain. She was stronger than anyone gave her credit for. And I let her believe I abandoned her. Clara bit her lip to keep it from trembling. Was this real? Was he confessing to her? "I've spent years wondering if she's still alive. She ever thinks of me. If she ever hated me." He gave a bitter smile. "Maybe she does. Maybe she should." Clara finally looked up, their eyes meeting for a moment. "What would you say to her if you saw her again?" she asked, her voice soft. Ethan didn't blink. "I'd say I'm sorry. That I was a coward. That I loved her, and never stopped." Silence fell between them. Then he stood. "Thank you. You can go now." Clara gathered the papers, her hands shaking. As she left the room, she felt the weight of his words sink into her chest. Maybe he hadn't betrayed her the way she thought. Or maybe he was just good at pretending. Back in her room, Clara opened the drawer, pulled out the journal she hadn't touched in years. A single photo slipped out, her and Ethan. Smiling. Young. In love. She held it in her hand, staring at the memory. Then something caught her eye. On the back of the photo, faded ink from her father's handwriting. Name. And a date. One she didn't recognize. But something about it didn't feel right. She pulled out her phone and started searching. What she found made her blood run cold. Her father's accident. Wasn't an accident at all. Clara barely slept that night. She kept staring at the name written on the back of the photo. G. Kingsley, March 3rd. It wasn't a name she recognized. But the date matched the day her father's car went off the bridge. The day the world believed he died in a tragic accident. But now, her gut told her it wasn't an accident at all. And somehow, this Kingsley person was involved. The next morning, Clara snuck into the East Wing during her cleaning shift, the part of the mansion few staff entered. It was quiet, almost untouched. Dusty furniture, covered paintings, and bookshelves filled with leather-bound volumes. As she dusted the corner of the old study, her cloth caught on something, a small notch in the wood. She pressed it. Click. A hidden compartment opened. Inside was a locked metal box, heavy, old, and cold to the touch. She shouldn't, but she did. She took the box and hid it in her cleaning cart, covering it with rags. That night, behind the locked door of her tiny room, Clara examined the box. It had a name engraved on it. Property of G. Kingsley. Her fingers trembled as she forced it open with a knife. Inside were documents, old contracts, photos, and one letter. A letter addressed to Ethan Blackwood. She unfolded it slowly. You have one choice. Stay quiet and take the deal, or the girl and her father go down together. I've covered your debt, but don't forget who saved your empire. G. Kingsley. Clara's heart dropped. Was Ethan involved in her father's downfall? Or was he blackmailed into silence? The next day she couldn't focus. Every glance Ethan gave her felt like a puzzle. Every word he said like a test. He wasn't just the man who broke her heart. He might also be the man who let her family fall. That evening, Ethan caught her in the hallway again. You've been quiet lately, he said, his tone more personal. I'm just tired, she replied. He nodded slowly, studying her again. You remind me of someone. Someone I lost. Clara looked away. People change. Yes, but the eyes never do, he said softly. She froze. Did he know? No, not yet. That night, Clara went through the documents again. A name kept appearing. Dominic Kingsley, Ethan's former business partner. The same man who vanished from the public eye shortly after her family's company collapsed. Now it all made sense. Dominic Kingsley had framed her father. Ethan had stayed silent. Whether out of fear or guilt or something worse, she didn't know yet. Clara stared at her reflection in the mirror. Poor Maid. The broken heiress. The girl with no past. And too many secrets. But something had shifted inside her. She wasn't just here to survive anymore. She was here for the truth. And maybe, just maybe, for revenge. Clara barely recognized herself anymore. She had come into Blackwood Manor as a maid. Now she was a spy. Daughter. A woman betrayed. But more than anything, she was dangerous. Because now she knew the truth, or at least part of it. That morning, Clara took her cleaning cart into the study. Ethan was away in a meeting. She had 20 minutes. She moved fast, pulling open drawers, flipping through files. If Dominic Kingsley had left a trail, it had to be here. Then, in the bottom drawer, she found it. A sealed envelope. No name. Just a wax seal with a symbol she didn't recognize. She slipped it into her uniform. But as she turned to leave, "What are you doing?" Her blood ran cold. Ethan stood in the doorway. Clara's mind raced. Wait, lie fast. I dropped a pen earlier. I was just looking for it. Ethan's eyes narrowed. He didn't believe her. But he didn't press. You're not like the others, he said slowly. You're careful, quiet, like someone with something to hide. Clara swallowed hard. I don't know what you mean. I think you do, he said. And I'm going to find out. Later that night, Clara opened the sealed envelope in her room. Inside was a contract between her father's company and Dominic Kingsley. The date, 3 days before her father's death. And the signature, forged. Her hands shook. Dominic had forged a deal that destroyed her father's reputation. And someone had helped cover it up. Maybe Ethan. Maybe not. But she needed proof. Clara met with the only person she trusted. Marcus, her father's old assistant. He hadn't seen her in years, but when she called, he came. They met in the park under a streetlight. "Clara, you shouldn't have come back," Marcus said. "They're watching everything." "Who's they?" she asked. "Kingsley. And whoever's still protecting him. He didn't just frame your dad. He made deals with politicians. Tios. Even law enforcement." Clara felt sick. "And Ethan?" Marcus hesitated. "I don't think he knew, not everything. But he signed papers that helped Kingsley. Maybe because he was scared. Or maybe he just wanted to protect his own empire." Clara nodded slowly. So Ethan wasn't innocent. But maybe he wasn't evil either. Back at the mansion, Ethan was waiting. "You've been sneaking around," he said. Clara looked him in the eyes. "And you've been hiding things." He paused. "I think we need to talk," he said finally. "I don't know who you are, but I think I once loved you." Clara's heart twisted. Was this her moment to tell the truth? She opened her mouth to speak. Bang! The front doors slammed open. Voices. Kiss. A man in a suit stormed into the hallway, flanked by 2 bodyguards. It was Dominic Kingsley, Ethan's ex-partner, the man who destroyed her family. And he was looking right at Clara. "Well," he said, smirking. "Looks like the maid's more than she appears." Clara couldn't move. Dominic Kingsley stood in the middle of Blackwood Manor's grand hallway like he owned it, wearing a smug smile, eyes locked on her. Ethan stepped forward. "What the hell are you doing here?" he growled. Dominic didn't blink. "Your little maid here has been digging through my old files. And unless I'm mistaken, she's not just a maid, is she?" He looked at Clara. "She's Clara Winters." The name hit the room like thunder. Ethan turned slowly toward her, stunned. "Clara!" Clara's eyes filled with tears. There was no more hiding. She nodded. "Yes, it's me." Ethan stepped back like she'd slapped him. "All this time you were here, in my house, pretending." Clara's voice trembled. "I didn't come here to lie. I came here because I needed answers. Because everything I knew, my father, my life was stolen. And I thought you were part of it." Ethan's jaw tightened. "You thought I betrayed you. You disappeared, Ethan. When my family lost everything, you were gone. And then I find out you signed deals with Kingsley. What was I supposed to believe?" Dominic chuckled. "Oh, this is rich. Lovers turned enemies. Reunited in a mansion full of secrets." Ethan's voice was like ice. "Get out, Kingsley." Dominic smirked. "Not yet. Came to warn you. She's been digging too deep. Asking the wrong questions. If she keeps this up, she won't just ruin you. She'll ruin herself." Clara stepped forward, her eyes blazing. "You ruined my father. You forged documents, destroyed his name, and made him out to be a criminal. I'm not afraid of you." Dominic's face twisted into a cold smile. "Then you're more like your father than I thought. Brave. But foolish." After he left, the silence was unbearable. Ethan sat down slowly, his eyes dazed. "You should have told me," he said. Clara wiped her eyes. "I didn't know if I could trust you." "I understand," he said quietly. "I wouldn't have trusted me either." She looked up. "So it's true. You signed the deal." "I did," he said. "I didn't know it would destroy your family. Kingsley told me it was just a buyout. I was in over my head. I was 25. And I was afraid." Clara nodded. "I waited for you," she whispered. "I waited every day for a call, message, anything. I wanted to," he said. "But then everything went public. The scandal. Your father's death. And then you disappeared." "I had to," she said. "There were reporters camped outside our home. I couldn't breathe." Ethan stood, walking toward her. "You were the only person who ever made me feel like I was more than just a rich kid trying to prove something." She looked away. And you were the only one who saw me as more than just a rich girl's daughter. There was a long silence. Then Ethan whispered, I never stopped loving you. Clara's eyes filled again. I tried to hate you, she said. I tried so hard. Did it work? He asked. She shook her head. No. He reached for her hand. For the first time in years, she didn't pull away. But just as their fingers touched, crash. Glass shattered in the next room. Scream. The maid burst in. Someone's broken in, it's Kingsley's men. Clara, run. The sound of shattering glass still echoed in the halls. Clara froze. The maid's voice rang again. Clara, run. But she didn't run. Not this time. Not after everything. Ethan grabbed Clara's hand and pulled her into the side corridor. His steps were fast, purposeful, but careful, like he'd done this before. You know a way out? She asked. Yes. Through the cellar. But I can't run, Clara said. We can't let him win again. Ethan stopped, turning to her. This isn't about pride anymore. Kingsley is dangerous. He doesn't play fair. Clara met his eyes. Neither do I. Downstairs, they hid in a wine cellar lined with dust and silence. The smell of old oak and time surrounded them. Clara looked at Ethan, her voice steady now. I have everything I need to bring Kingsley down. The forged contracts. The letters. The documents from your office. Ethan was quiet. But if I go public, Clara continued, he'll come after me. After us. He'll drag everything into the light. Ethan stepped closer. Then let him. I'll stand with you. You already didn't, she whispered. I know, he said softly. And it's the biggest regret of my life. Clara turned away. She felt everything at once. The weight of her father's death, the sting of betrayal, the ache of love that never truly died. Do you want revenge? Ethan asked. No, she said after a pause. I want peace. And truth. For my father. Suddenly, Ethan's phone buzzed. He looked down. His face turned pale. What is it? Clara asked. They've taken someone. Marcus. Your father's old assistant. He helped you, didn't he? Clara's heart dropped. They're using him as bait, Ethan said. To lure you out. Clara clenched her fists. This ends now. That night, Clara dressed not like a maid, but like the woman she was always meant to become. No more hiding. No more running. Ethan met her at the front door, holding a small USB drive. This has everything, he said. Every file Kingsley deleted. Every secret he tried to bury. I hacked his old servers 2 years ago. I didn't know what it was then, but I do now. Clara took it, her eyes fierce. We release it to the press tomorrow. And tonight. Clara's voice hardened. Tonight we save Marcus. They drove through the London night. Silence between them heavy but shared. Clara looked at Ethan. If we do this, there's no going back. I don't want to go back, he replied. I just want you. Outside the warehouse where Kingsley's men were holding Marcus, Clara and Ethan made a plan. It was reckless. Risky. But for once they were a team. And Clara wasn't the girl Ethan had once known. She was stronger now. Martyr. And finally ready to fight for more than just revenge. The warehouse smelled of oil and dust. Shadows moved in the corners, voices low, dangerous. Ethan turned to Clara one last time. Are you sure you want to do this? Clara nodded. I've been running from my past for too long. I'm done hiding. They slipped inside quietly. In the center of the room, tied to a chair, was Marcus, bruised but alive. 2 guards stood nearby, one scrolling his phone, the other pacing. Ethan motioned silently. Distraction. Then a takedown. Clara crept toward the storage racks while Ethan stepped into the light. Looking for me, he called out. The guards jumped. In the commotion, Clara slipped behind them, grabbed a metal pipe, and took one down with a swift swing. The other lunged at her, but Ethan tackled him. It was messy, loud, but within seconds it was over. Marcus groaned. Took you long enough. Clara smiled as she untied him. You still owe me coffee. But before they could leave, blap, 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 a slow, sarcastic applause echoed through the warehouse. Dominic Kingsley stepped out from the shadows. Well done, he said. You always were full of surprises, Clara. She turned to face him. You're finished, Dominic. He laughed. No one will believe you. I've buried bigger scandals than this. Clara pulled out the USB drive Ethan had given her. Not this time. Every file, every transaction, every forged signature. It's all here. And in less than an hour, it'll be everywhere. Dominic's face darkened. You think anyone will care? They'll care when they see what you did to my father, to Ethan, to the people you crushed to protect your power. Dominic lunged toward her, but Ethan stepped between them. Touch her and you won't walk out of here. Dominic froze. For the first time, he looked afraid. And then, sirens in the distance. Police. Media. Then, 1 week later, the news was everywhere. Billionaire exposed in corporate scandal. Former heiress Clara Winters breaks silence. Dominic Kingsley arrested in multi-million-pound cover-up. Clara sat on a park bench watching people walk by. She was free now. But strangely, it didn't feel like a victory, just a beginning. Ethan arrived, 2 coffees in hand. You still like oat milk? She smiled. You remembered. He sat beside her. You're a hero now, he said. I didn't do it to be a hero, Clara replied. I did it to stop being a victim. He nodded. Then softly. What now? Clara looked out at the city skyline. I don't know. For the first time, I don't have to have a plan. You could stay, Ethan said gently. We could start over. Clara turned to him. I loved you. Maybe I still do. But love doesn't fix everything, Ethan. I don't want love to fix it, he said. I want to fix it with love. Tears welled in her eyes. Not from sadness, but from finally feeling seen. Clara stood. She kissed his cheek. I'm not ready, she whispered. But I'm not running either. She took a deep breath. I'll find my way. And if it leads back to you, he smiled. I'll be waiting. Once I was a girl with everything, and then I lost it all. But in losing it, I found who I really was. I was never just the maid. Or the heiress. I was the storm they didn't see coming. And now, I'm finally free.